Welcome to Stock Talk with Mike. Today I want to talk to you about some interesting data for Coupang, the e-commerce player out of South Korea. I've talked about them before. Closer to their IPO, they became publicly traded back in March. They've been public for around 5 months or so now, and they're set to report their second earnings report as a publicly traded company here on August 11th. And I just wanted to present some interesting data as far as 13F filings. So if you don't know what 13F filing is, it's every hedge fund or money manager, so this is the big smart money that everyone talks about, is required every quarter to report the previous quarter buys and sells and their position sizes. So that can really give you some interesting insight into who's buying, who's selling particular companies, and it can be very insightful. The one drawback is it's a delayed a quarter, right? They're reporting on the previous quarter, so there's nothing really real time about that. Like you might see a hedge fund took a major position in your company that you're interested in, but they may have already sold it by the time you actually get the report. But for long-term investors, it can provide some really interesting insight into the general direction, the general sentiment around a company, and who's buying the shares. So let's take a look at the 13F filing for Coupang. I pulled these 13Fs from Whale Wisdom. It's actually a great website for tracking 13F filings and following that smart money. You can search by hedge funds. So if there's a money manager that you really like their investment style and the way they pick stocks or companies, you can follow them and see what they're doing. Or you can search by company to see maybe what your holdings or a stock you're interested in. See what major money managers are doing if they're buying or selling your stock. And so looking here, the previous quarter, there wasn't really any major institutions in Coupang because it was right around when they became public. So kind of missed the previous quarter. So this is all new positions really. And in Q1 of 2021, 189 funds picked up shares in Coupang, and that's actually pretty good for a newly traded company. Definitely some of my other investments, even that have been publicly traded for quite some time, have smaller number of funds invested in them than that. And then some of the more popular stocks, you might see even several hundred hedge funds in, big companies like Amazon, Apple, that sort of thing. But also interesting here that 12 funds actually have Coupang in their top 10 holdings. So they have significant position sizes in Coupang. And I'm going to show you some of those funds later and just how big those position sizes are. It's actually pretty interesting. And also looking here, the percent ownership. This could be, this is definitely something you want to drill down in further because hedge funds owning a lot of stock is actually a pretty bullish sign, but you can have a bit of concentration risk if it's just major portions held up in a few funds, because if they decide to sell, it's going to put some major selling pressure on a stock. But at the same time, if they're big investors in adding, that can really cause a stock to shoot up in value as well. And they also have the calls to put ratio for these hedge funds, and you can see that there's a lot more calls in Coupang, at least back in Q1, than there was puts. But of these institutional holders, the top three, these are the top 3 hedge funds holding Coupang as far as percentage of the shares outstanding that they hold. The biggest one here is SB Investment Advisors based out of the UK. This is actually an affiliate or basically an arm of SoftBank. And SoftBank have been early pre-public private equity investors in Coupang, so it's no surprising that one of their funds is a major shareholder here. But they own 36% of the shares outstanding of Coupang, so that's pretty incredible. Again, that's really bullish sign. They believe in the company, but also I guess that's a lot of stake in one company, and if for any reason they decide to liquidate and put their money elsewhere, you could see some selling pressure. But ultimately, I see that as a positive that a fund is willing to hold such high percentage. For their own portfolio, you look over here, that's 48% of this fund, of the SB Investment Advisors based in the UK, 48% of their portfolio is currently in Coupang. So that's a very bullish sign that they believe in Coupang. And second here, then it's the next one, Green Oaks Capital Partners. They're kind of like a tech-based fund. They generally only hold like 4 or 5 positions. They were a big investor in C Limited, and they've been paring back that investment clearly to make room for Coupang, because they own 18% of the shares outstanding. But what's interesting, it's almost 94% of their current portfolio. So very bullish, and this is a brand new position in Coupang, again in Q1. So it'd be really interesting to see what they do with this position size in subsequent quarters. But they're putting basically the success of their funds under management, and we're talking billions of dollars. I mean, this is a $14 billion stake, and that's 94% of the portfolio. So they're really about a $15 billion fund. All their success in the short term is going to be based on returns of Coupang. So it definitely very bullish sign, at least as far as from Green Oak's perspective, on Coupang. Next is Maverick Capital. They have $5 billion in shares, which is like 46% of their entire portfolio. Again, massive allocation here, and they own about 7% all shares outstanding in Coupang. So some big funds holding massive allocation of their portfolio in Coupang. Pretty bullish sign there overall. As for the stock itself, it traded up around the IPO there, close to $60 a share. And typically, like we see with a lot of these IPOs, after the initial kind of euphoria, this didn't get a lot of hype at IPO, but it did kind of tail off. Like shortly after going public there, we saw the big tech wreck there in around May, flight to safety, to value stocks, and there's been a bit of a recovery as of late. So it did drop pretty significantly to closer to $30 a share, about 50% off those all-time highs. And it's just been kind of fluctuating for the last few months, consolidating here in the $35 to $45 range for some time. Definitely a great time to be accumulating shares. Just been kind of sitting around at these levels. Personally, I've been buying in chunks. So I started investing. You can see this is my different buys in Coupang. I first took a position about a week after the IPO, back in March of this year. Took an initial position around $1,000 or so at $44.50 a share. Bought some more in April around the same price. Bought some more during the sell-off in May at a bit of a better price. Then in mid-May, I got some 30 shares at $31.28. That's my lowest price of entry. And then I've been actually infusing some more funds into the market as of late in June, and then again in July around $37 to $38.50 a share. I've been nibbling away at even more shares, and it's currently, Coupang's about 4.5% of my portfolio right now. It's maybe around my 6th or 7th largest position. And I really like that weighting and pretty happy with my position size. I probably wouldn't be looking to add more at this time unless we saw it significantly drop to closer to that $30 a share range again. And I'd like to see a couple more quarterly reports under their belt as a publicly traded company, get some more insight into the way management conducts themselves on conference calls and how they answer analyst questions, etc. So as I mentioned, Coupang will be reporting quarterly earnings on August 11th after the market close. On their last quarterly report, their first quarterly report as a publicly traded company back in May, they actually missed analyst expectations on earnings or EPS, but they beat on revenue. So it'll be interesting to see what they do here. They're not profitable, but again, they got big revenues and they do have a gross profit, but they are investing those proceeds back into the company. It's a very high growth company, and I think they could definitely turn that ship around like a flip of a switch, similar to how Amazon did. By no means is this company Amazon as of yet. We're talking about a $65 billion company, but they do things. I see a lot of similarities as far as focusing on the customer. I would say that Coupang, from an e-commerce perspective, really has the customer satisfaction or customer experience as the highest priority. They even have something like overnight shipping. I think it's if you order by midnight, you can have it by 7 a.m. the next morning. And they even have packageless returns where you just put a package back on your doorstep and someone comes and picks it up the same day. So very disruptive, innovative e-commerce leader. And myself, I've been such a big beneficiary of being invested in the e-commerce space and riding that continued growth through a number of holdings, some more speculative holdings like Jumia, the e-commerce player in Africa, Coupang in South Korea, C Limited in Singapore, and then of course also Amazon. And then on the small business side, Shopify, and even Square, who is getting more involved in small business e-commerce. So a number of holdings I have been beneficiaries of the growing e-commerce trend. And I think in some of these markets, there's still a lot of runway or growth ahead of them. So I'll definitely be watching earnings closely and doing a lot more videos in Coupang. I'm very interested in this company. I've got a pretty significant position size built up, but they are newly public, and I'm very interested to see how they handle themselves as a publicly traded company. So I'll be definitely listening to the conference calls and updating in future videos. So I hope you like this video. If you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to the channel. It'd be great also if you give this video a like. So we'll catch you next time.